Good afternoon, everyone. I am here at Emillions Art, and welcome to another podcast and our first virtual show with Dario Campanile. Dario's here today with us to explain some of his history and background in art, and we're excited to have him. So Dario, welcome to Emillions' first virtual show, and thank you for being a part of it.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very excited. That's a new experience for me, and I can't wait. I've never done anything like that before. That's great. I'm very, very excited.
Well, that makes two of us, Dario, and we're so excited to have you be our first virtual show.
Well, thank you. Wow.
Okay, Dario, I'm going to jump right in here. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I understand you were born in Rome, in Italy, somewhere around 1948, and tell us a little bit about your journey as an artist.
Well, it started obviously when I was a very young little boy, and I was always attracted to express myself with drawing and charcoal and pens and hours. Instead of playing with the other children, I would be by myself doing a lot of this kind of experimentation. For me, it was really fascinating. And then the turning point in my life as an artist that actually happened later at age 14, when I had a kidney problem and had to stay in bed for several months. And my father, to cheer me up, he bought me my first oil and my first brushes and tubes and the first canvas. For me, I can paint in oil and actually started painting in bed. That was my new thing. It was the most incredible experience for me, because I never used oil before, and I never studied. I'm self-taught. The oil speak to me, and my first painting that I did, it was pretty good. It was shocking, and that moment I started my journey. And until age 19, when I decided that I want to be a full-time artist, a professional artist. So I started very young in my career. So I was lucky about that.
So, tell me a little bit about that. You're self-taught. You've never had any formal lessons at all?
No, my lesson and my teaching, it came from visiting so many churches and museums in Rome. I was observing very well in detail, and I wanted to imitate those masters with realism. I was really fascinated by realism. And so that was my school. Although at one point my parents want me to go in art school because they saw talent that I had. And I wasn't crazy about it. But then to make them happy, I accepted it to go to art school, and I only last 2 weeks, and I left. I could not deal with the teacher. It was driving me crazy. And I said to my parents, if you want me to quit painting, then, I'm telling you, I got to leave the school. Otherwise, I'm going to quit. So they said, well, it's your life. And that's what I did. I studied myself, and by having other colleagues, other artists and questions, and by doing it over the years, little by little, I got the catch on it, at least for my realism, and then became surrealism.
I have to tell you, self-taught art in general is not as fine as what you do. So I'm, and the world is definitely going to be impressed after they see what we've done today. I wanted to touch upon, a little bit upon, the highlights and some of the individuals that have led you down the path of where you've been, both professionally and personally. And frankly, why you started in realism.
Well, because of my surrounding in Rome, the most impressive thing for me was the actual classical and realism painting that I've seen most in churches. I grew up with that because, being born in Italy, you have to go to church. So it's mandatory. It's Catholic. So the church have full paintings everywhere you go. So I was influenced very much about that style, painting things so real that it became my fixation. By the age of 19, I was already in some gallery in Rome selling my work, doing still lifes. My still lifes were the beginning, and it stayed with me over 50 years. But the thing that really influenced me very positively, it was meeting in 1967 in Rome, I met Giorgio De Chirico. Giorgio De Chirico is the master of metaphysical art. He's in every museum in the world. In that time, he was a very old man, and he saw my work and he encouraged me to continuing without taking any lesson. My question was asking him, do I still go to school? I have to go to school. He says, no, you don't have to. You're doing fine. You be your own teacher. And it was a great, symbolically, it was amazing meeting with him in his studio in Rome. And that was a magical moment. And then 2 years later, Salvador Dali saw my work and invited me to his house to visit him. He was so impressed by my beginning of my surrealism. Because then after when I was doing realism, I started to explore using my realism with fantasy and imagination and become surrealism. So it was right in that moment where Salvador Dali saw my work and he was very impressed. And we had an amazing visit together for 2 days. Another one, big one that I think of it, I did a painting about the Dalai Lama. I was invited at his house and taking a picture of him for a portrait of the Dalai Lama. And that was an amazing experience meeting the Dalai Lama itself. It was a changing point in my life. I learned so much being in India, which I'd never been there before. And it gave me a new perspective about humanity and love and heart and brotherhood. You know, and that was another element. But another one is the Paramount logo. You know, that was in 1985, 86. I designed the new logo at Paramount, which it was used for many, many years. It still today is used with some modification.
You were in charge of inventing the logo for Paramount.
No, the Paramount had a pencil drawing. And I said, can you create a painting from this pencil drawing? I only had the shape of the mountain, just a pencil line and the horizon. But there was in a little lake, but there was no color, no paint, no clouds, and no. Yeah, so I had to imagine having a landscape created from this pencil drawing. They loved it, and they said, "Wow, you are the artist for us," you know. And then they commissioned me the large one, you know.
Oh wow, that's that's a nice little thing to have in your back pocket, right? I mean, that's a great memory, and wow, that's impressive. So let's get back to to Salvador Dali for a moment. What year was that? Do you remember?
1972.
Wow. Okay. So that was, geez. He died. What year did he die?
He died about 15 years later, I think, something like that. Yeah. I was visiting the Costa Brava. It's called the coastline. I was thinking about Salvador Dali, but someone saw my paintings on the photographs on a book that I had. And they said, you need to show this to Salvador Dali. I said, I have no connection with Salvador Dali. How am I going to show it to him? And this guy said to me, I'm his CPA, I'm his accountant. And if you give me the book, I'll have you interview him. And so I was a little skeptical giving my book to this guy. He was a stranger in the cafe. I met him in a cafe on the coast by the water. And the next day he came without my book, and I said, "Where's my book?" I was so worried about my book, and he said, "He has your book. Salvador Dali has your book. He's waiting for you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. He wants to meet you."
Wow.
I said, "What?" Yeah, he loves your work. You know, in fact, when I came next day, Gala, his wife, said to me, "Do you have original with you? We really want to see them." And I didn't have any original. I had only photographs of my painting because I was traveling. I was vacationing around with a friend of mine. But anyway, so Salvador Dali and we had a great connection, and he invited me in New York to visit him in the hotel in New York, but the security was so strong. 2 years later, I couldn't get hold of him. It wasn't possible.
Oh yeah, well, I guess, I would understand that, but that's an amazing story. I mean, I'm so honored to have you here at Emillions. Really, I am, because frankly, I know your work. I've seen your realism. I have a couple books here myself of your realism and a few works that we're going to talk about very shortly here. Can you tell me how you kind of evolved from your realism into your current works? And I'd like you to talk a little bit about the paintings behind you, for example, so people can understand what you're referring to.
At one point, I was pouring colors together on on the floor. I was doing the beginning of my abstract, and I like the freedom, the liberation that I experienced by doing this free form of art. It really intrigued me, and it was a big change for me, a new language that I never knew that before. And 10 years ago, around 10 years ago, finally I realized that the time arrived for me. And now I look back on my realism, and I can't paint realism anymore. It's a phase of my life that it went away for a while, I guess. But it taught me so much about the abstract. Believe it or not, coming from realism, you learned all the rules and the law about perspective, light, dark, shadow. And those forms that I learned from my realism, they in some way, somehow, they go into my abstract. My abstract, it's a totally process of painting with my unconsciousness. I'm completely subconscious. I'm completely open door for whatever comes through me, through my hands, through the brush, into the canvas. There's no plan, no drawing, no preparation. It's a world that comes through me from somewhere that I connected to.
Let's talk a little bit about the paintings behind you, if you don't mind. And just tell us a little bit about your experience when you painted them.
Well, this one right here, it's called The Journey Without the Distance. I love that, the title. There is definitely a journey coming along here. But the idea is that journey should not have distance, should be all one thing. I just have forms moving together in a flow, and there's this powerful contact of light and dark and movement, and it reminds me of a journey, but it's a journey without a distance. It's universal. That one, yeah. And this one here is rise above. This right here. This is it's a little more complex. There's a lot of icon. It's a lot of symbolism. They all come through me in a very spontaneous way. And the audience sees different things, depends who sees the painting. And I like that. It doesn't mean one thing. It means so many things. Depends how you react to this language. This one here, it's called A Universe to Come. There's a presence of air, earth, fire, and it's the new form of universe. A lot of powerful, intense, and I love the flow, almost like the waterfall goes in, and it has this kind of little surreal landscape in a way, but it has a lot of movement.
I've heard you refer to some of your artwork having that Sistine Chapel-esque kind of, powerful feel. And, I would agree with that. One of the artworks we have here, but that one has that real powerful feel, kind of in your face and just, grab your attention and what's going on there, along with the one right behind you has somewhat of that feel. The evolution from you going from realism to this, I can imagine your journey as well, going into something like this, saying, aha, I get it. Now I get it. Now, where did you used to go when you were in Rome? I mean, were there particular churches that you, visited and revisited?
There was one church in Rome, forgot the name of it, it's in the Piazza del Popolo. And it's the only church that has two original Caravaggio. The churches has the most beautiful, large Caravaggio. One is the St. Peter crucifixion. St. Peter was crucified upside down, and it shows him putting nails in his hands upside down. Mm-hmm. I was so impressed by the light and the dark. Caravaggio was my mentor. It was my inspiration for realism. And it taught me how to play with the chiaroscuro, the light and the dark.
Yeah.
And that was I learned very young that everything is about light. And then it comes along with the shadow, that gives you the three-dimensional effect.
You just got back from Hawaii. Okay. And your experience out there, how was it? Was it, you know, is everybody healthy out there? And, you know, are artists working?
Well, there's good and bad. The good things is the islands are incredibly quiet, and this sense of pristine air, and the ocean is super clean. It's always clean before, but there were so many people bathing. Now there's nobody around. They blocked the tourism completely.
Yeah.
So, but then by doing that, they also close all the restaurants, including our galleries. And it's a little bit scary because when they're going to be open again, they need tourism. But before they get tourism back in the island, they have to make sure that everything's under control. Right now, the island of Maui where I came from, I've never seen it like that before. Where it's completely a ghost town, the ghost island.
Were the artists taking that time to, you know, explore nature and just kind of get back to what they do?
Yes, they do. Obviously, artists don't stop. You know, we always
Yeah.
do. And in fact, I'm sure there will be an influence of this pandemic situation. It will be an influence on their expression, what they're going to be doing.
Now are you working on anything new right now?
Well, actually, I've been doing. I want to show you something. I've been doing some
Okay.
watercolor in Maui because I didn't have the place I could paint.
Really?
I had a small place. And I started doing watercolor when I was 5 years old. Then I stopped when I got into the oil, which was 14 years old.
Right.
So it's been, 58 years I haven't touched watercolor.
Well, and watercolor is very hard to control. So.
Yeah, but these are kind of small. But look at this.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at that. Wow. How are you feeling about your watercolors?
Oh, I loved it. Obviously, and this is one of my favorite. Look at this one.
Oh, wow. You have been very bad. Wow. Yeah, wait a minute. Bring that back. It kind of looks like a polar bear in the middle. Okay.
Yes. I saw the face coming up, so I add the little eye and the little nose. That's how I touch it up. It became a full-blown creature right there.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's amazing. Well, and you know, and that's actually a good example of what you were talking about, how, you know, it takes you, you know, you go on a journey and then you see what's happening and then you can finish the creation. I like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like
Thank
that.
you so much. Thank you.
So I am going to talk a little bit about the artwork Unknown Treasures for a second here. But Emillions Art has recently started an auction platform. And we've had some great success with the auction platform. We've done 3 now, and all paintings. We have at least 1 on each of those auctions that have sold. I have such great feedback from all over the world on your artwork. I mean, everywhere. I'm blown away every day about, you know, people who are writing in, who are on social, talking about the works that we post. One of them, fortunately for our viewers, is coming up for auction. It is this one behind me. But can you tell us a little bit about, you know, your experience in creating that particular artwork?
Okay, so basically, in the middle there is the light part of the painting. That's what I like a lot, coming from the light, and then all things around start developing. Basically, it is an expression of vital form of life, and I see this spiritual presence with the light coming through, and I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I see horses, I see things around it, angel and stuff like that. That's why it reminds me a little bit of Sistine Chapel in different form.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, it exudes power. It really does. The power of life, the power of light, the power of, you know, the energy. It has an immense amount of energy. And I'm really excited for whoever, you know, ends up with this painting, because it's one that you will never stop looking at. You will never, ever stop looking at this painting. And it's a collectible by far.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Super excited. So Dario, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, the best wish and luck for you. The gallery is lovely. You're lovely, and it's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine.
I think so too. And for those of you who don't know, Dario is here in Naples, Florida for a little while. And
Month.
so 2 months?
Mhm.
Okay.
May and
Um,
June.
okay. Thank you again, Dario. Have a pleasant day. And next week, we're going to talk a little more with another artist, Denise Cummings. But for now, I'd like you to log on to www.emillionsart.com and make sure you hit our auction platform. Pay attention. This week is Dario's work is coming up, and look on our social networking, and glad to have you. Bye-bye now.